Namaste everybody. So this video is basically an addition to the karma alleviation work that we're doing together. Now, one or two people have been asking me about the Ho'oponopono, which is basically an ancient Hawaiian prayer or mantra, if you like. Now, this works. This is effective. I've gone to my higher self and this is quite an effective technique. But we're going to do a variation on it. You see, the original Ho'oponopono is an ancient, thousands of years old mantra or prayer, if you like, which it basically is projecting your apologies onto another entity. And it doesn't have to be in person. You can do this quietly, on your own. Go into a meditative state, do some deep breathing with the technique that we've been following, with the deep breaths in through the nose and then the long breaths out through the mouth. And then once you're in a meditative state and you're in a place of peace and tranquility and calmness, and by now hopefully you've gotten pretty good at allowing, becoming the observer of yourself. So whilst you're being the observer, in the observer state, letting any thoughts just flow through, not emotionally attaching to any of them, you do the Ho'oponopono. So I'm going to give you the original Ho'oponopono mantra prayer, and then I'm going to show you the addition that it's just a slight modification. Okay, so the original Ho'oponopono Hawaiian mantra basically translates roughly, loosely to I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I send you light. Now that's a beautiful mantra on its own, but there's a way of doing this two ways. There's a way of relieving extra karma by adding just one more basic part to this mantra. So what we're going to be trying is, and I was guided to do this by my higher self, is I'm sorry for all I have done to you. I forgive you for all you have done to me. I send you unconditional love and divine light. I set you free. Now, you can repeat that as many times as you like. And the basic rule of thumb is, so there's different levels of karma. There's macro karma or minor karma or subtle karma, which would be things like telling your best friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend that you're going to meet up with him or her at a certain time, at a certain place, and then not following through with that. That would be something minor or subtle. But then that would only take a few sessions of Ho'oponopono with the modified version that I've just explained. But then there's more grievous or major or macro or gross karma acts, which it tends to be the closer that you are to that person, like say father and son, or mother and daughter, or boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife. when you're really, really, really close. And this can be the long, drawn-out fights, the arguments that really rip through you, threatening to leave that person and actually walking out and making them think that you've left when you've just gone to the pub, deliberately not answering your phone, that kind of thing, for maybe even leaving for days at a time, and putting that person through a lot of turmoil. Or, of course, then it goes up gradients. So then there's like physical abuse. But don't forget, emotional abuse can be every bit as bad as physical. People forget this. Psychological and emotional abuse can be every bit as grievous and can hurt every bit as much as physical abuse. They're both as bad as each other, and they both incur some pretty major karma. Of course, the highest karma is things like sexual assault, serious physical abuse, murder, deliberately running down your boyfriend or girlfriend in the car for some really terrible, grievous example. And that's your major, major karma. That might take a couple of lifetimes to work out, that kind of level. Okay, but the lower end of the major karma, or the macro karma, the big fights that you have that go on for a long time, days sometimes, physical abuse, extended psychological abuse, and emotional abuse, that carries some heavy karma. This Ho'oponopono, ideally for things like that, should be both ways. So both of you should ideally be doing this for each other. It wouldn't be enough for just one to do it. It has to be reciprocated. It has to be really from both parties, from both people. But you can alleviate a certain amount yourself by imagining. Go into the meditative state, like we've just said. Bring the energy or the image. Imagine that person is stood right in front of you in your mind. Smell the perfume that they used to wear, or the aftershave. Actually get as many senses going as possible with this procedure. You want this to be as vivid as possible. Okay, so as many senses as possible: hearing, touch, sound, as many senses as you can possibly get. Of course, imagination, vision, seeing that person, visualizing that person in front of you. And then imagine that you're saying this to them. I'm sorry for everything that I did that harmed you in any way. Please forgive me. I forgive you for all that you did that harmed me in a negative way. I love you with unconditional love. I send you divine light, and I set you free. And repeat this as many times as your heart tells you to repeat it. And trust me, your inner being will let you know. For example, if you've done this Ho'oponopono modification that we've just gone through together, if you've done that for maybe half an hour on a night, maybe, or 15 minutes, 20 minutes on a night, and you think that's enough, and then 2 or 3 days later, that person suddenly springs into your mind, and you get this doubt somewhere deep inside, and you're thinking, I wonder if that was enough. Was that enough? Ho'oponopono? Do I maybe need to do more? Should I have done more? If you get that feeling or that thought, that it's a feeling really deep inside, then you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you need to do more work. Okay, so this is what I would suggest to do, and we're going to be going into the other karma alleviation using the thought forms. And this is a thought form karma alleviation exercise in itself. You're going to be using all the skills pretty much that we've been learning through these lessons. So this could even be called lesson 4. This is pretty much a lesson in itself with the Ho'oponopono. Now, you're going to be using thought form, imagery, consciousness tracking, because your focal point of attention of your consciousness is going to be on the image of the energy of the person in question, of the soul in question, is going to be in the forefront of your mind. So this is using all of the techniques, all of the skills that we've been learning up to this point. This is bringing them all together for this Ho'oponopono modification. You see, the only bit that we've added is I forgive you for all that you have done that harmed me. And as long as you believe that with all of your heart, when you're saying this, when you're repeating this mantra, with the person visualized in the forefront of your mind in a meditative state, as long as you believe it with all of your heart, I promise you, this will alleviate a great deal of karma. If it's gross karma, if you hold lots of karma with this person in question, whether it's your father, your mother, your son, your daughter, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, an ex-wife, an ex-husband, a friend, whoever that may be, then you maybe need to do some more work. And ideally you need them to be doing the same for you, but that's not always possible. And some people aren't even speaking to their ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, or, you know, in the worst case scenarios, some parents aren't speaking to their sons or daughters, or some people have died. The physical vehicle have died. The physical vessel has dropped. That's like putting down a suit, ready to pick up a new suit in your next incarnation. It doesn't matter whether they've died or not in the physical. They're still there. The soul is still there. I can promise you that. I've died and come back and have many near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. And I can tell you, death does not exist. Energy cannot be destroyed nor created. Energy always is. It just transforms. It just transmutes. Just changes form. I'm being wary of this time. We're getting a bit low on time, but just my only advice to you is try and be as sincere as you possibly can. Try and be as genuine as you possibly can. Heartfelt. Use real emotion. Really summon some emotion up. Feel the relief. Feel the relief that they've forgiven you and that you've forgiven them for everything that you've ever done to each other. And then be thankful and send them light. And then maybe say a little namaste at the end. Say thank you, thank you, thank you, namaste. Namaste means I bow to the divine love, light and joy in you, which is the same divine love, light and joy that is in me. Ho'oponopono. Namaste.